Okay people, this is a state of emergency. The channel might be getting too awesome. So we're going to have to do something about that. We're going to have to be a little edgier, a little riskier. So what I'm going to do for this car review is go into the cinema and find the ugliest, smelliest, most pathetic stranger I could find. They're going to come in my car and do the review with me. Coming up next.
Of my time. Paul said I'm best to save my money. He said stay out of the ticket line and don't go out tonight. It's a big waste of your time. There's a bad film on tonight.
Alright everybody, welcome back to Critical Mass. As promised, this is a very special car review because not only are we in the back seat, but we're in the back seat with a perfect stranger that I just found randomly walking the aisles in the Joker movie.
Hello YouTube land!
So, perfect stranger, what did you think of the Joker concept?
Okay, so to be perfectly honest, going into the Joker, I was not thrilled about an origin story for the Joker because the Joker has no origin story. That's part of what being the Joker is all about. And so I wanted this movie to be great, but I didn't have high hopes. I knew it wasn't an action movie, and I was thinking that I don't know how they're going to take this sort of long, drawn-out process into somebody losing their mind and going into the darkness and becoming the biggest Batman villain of all time. I didn't know how they were going to do that. Interesting.
Okay, so you saw the trailers, and what did you feel this movie was going to be like quality-wise? Because I looked at the trailers and I said, wow, like this looks like somebody's reaching. Like they're trying to put like this dramatic spin on the Joker and it looks kind of cheesy.
Well, they've been doing this, right? They've been taking the villains and they've been like in movies and they've been taking sort of doing a movie about the villain, making the villain the protagonist in their particular life story, and it's become sort of an ongoing thing that they've been doing. And so I thought this was just basically one of the same. This is Maleficent. This is the Suicide Squad. This is, you know, that's sort of a trend. But I'm going to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised coming out of this movie.
Okay, so I feel like Heath Ledger's rendition of the Joker in Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, I thought that was an awesome performance.
Classic.
Like it was like the best performance of the decade. And I said nothing can compare to what Heath Ledger did. So why are they even trying to do another Joker? They tried to do another Joker for Suicide Squad. I don't think that went over too well. And then they're trying this one. And oh my God.
He nailed it.
This, like, I don't want to say it was better than Heath Ledger because Heath Ledger was epic. But
Joaquin Phoenix nailed this role.
Joker was a real person. He was not a comic book character. He was a real person in this movie.
Yes. Yeah. And you sort of you had empathy for him, and you were going through and you would see him. I mean, this movie was a duality. Okay, it was, you were watching two movies when you were watching this one. You were watching his perception of the world around him and how he was interacting with the world. And then suddenly there's a cut scene, and you see what is actually happening, and how everything that's sort of going on that he thinks he's really cool about, he's awkward and I mean, really, you can see the crazy. You can see the crazy in him, and why everyone around him is looking at him like he is an outcast.
So if you're wondering who the Joker is, the concept of this movie is a mentally ill person, various diagnoses. He's on a bunch of medication, and the universe daily takes a big dump on him. And it's so unfair. And you see that even a regular mentally healthy person, with everything that this guy goes through, they would have cracked.
Right from his childhood, abused as a child, and
No spoilers, no spoilers.
if he were abused as a child.
This is what you get when you bring a stranger into the review.
I can't help it.
Okay, so do you think that it was a good movie?
There are so many things I want to spoil for you.
It was a good movie. Do you think this was an adequate origin story for the formation of who we know as the Joker?
I honestly think that it's the only origin story that they could do that would fit in my perception of what the Batman universe should be. I can't imagine it like this fits. If I would, okay, so originally, yeah, don't do an origin story for the Joker, but if you're going to do it, do this one, because it was fantastic.
I think they have to get the guys who wrote this and directed this, I think they have to get them to do the Batman movie, or at least consult, because I need Batman to be as real as they made the Joker. He did a fantastic job. There were moments where you got caught up in his crazy, and I know I don't even know how to explain it adequately, but you were there with him, and you understood the way he was perceiving things, and why he would be perceiving them the way he is. And then you're jolted back into reality, and he's, okay, there's no spoilers, okay, but I'll say this. There was a scene, he's in an ambulance, he's in the back of an ambulance, and they're taking his mother to the hospital, and he is interacting with the two people in the ambulance, the two paramedics in the ambulance, and he's interacting with them on a normal level. What happened, and I'm very concerned for my mother, that sort of thing. But even that was his own mind perceiving things differently, because when it snapped to reality, they were talking to him and he was just sort of mumbling answers, and they weren't understanding what he was talking about. But in his own mind, he was carrying on a conversation with them, and it was those sort of interactions and that sort of situation that would happen throughout the movie. You don't even know when it's happening until it happens. So I'm thinking that everything that I've seen on the web right now, okay, I've seen two different things, and I haven't delved into them because I wanted to stay very detached from what other people are saying before I saw the movie. But I see that there's some controversy surrounding this movie regarding maybe social justice, and on the other side I see very, very positive headlines about the quality of this movie.
I didn't see any social justice red flags. Did you?
As I was watching, I didn't see any. Maybe I'm too dense to pick them up. Maybe
there's just he's a white male lead. Is that?
Well, very white with the makeup.
Right. The Bruce Wayne's father's character was very Trump-like. Very, very high-powered, capitalist. He wasn't like in the other Batman movies that you've seen, where he's just a very generous, giving, individual that just wants the best for everyone. They made him a real person. He was
Yeah.
a businessman.
In regular Batman movies, you see Gotham as this place where crime has just taken over. But as you're watching the Joker, you understand why Gotham has turned into a very sorry state. And you start to empathize with the criminals. Because from their perspective, Gotham is being trashed by who we perceive as the good guys in a regular Batman film. So this... when you can make the villain somebody that you cheer for, I think you've nailed it.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. I feel kind of two ways about this. I would love to see the next movie where with the introduction of the Batman and with all, I would love to see this go forward. At the same time, I think this movie could just stand on its own. It doesn't need a sequel.
No, I hope they don't make a sequel. The only follow-up to this I want to see is if these guys put their own spin on the next Batman movie. Because after this, you can't have another campy comic action fest.
No, this Joker was not the Joker you've ever seen before. This was not the comic booky rated G or PG Joker that you've ever seen before. There was some violence in this movie. I mean, not as violent as some other superhero movies that have come out, but enough violence that you can say, hey, that looks like it hurt.
Now, I've said this in a last review, I think the Rambo review, but this was the Logan of the Batman series. Okay, they took away all of the circus comic booky stuff, and they said, we're going to make this movie from the heart. This is going to be a real person with real issues, and it's going to be straight up drama. This is not something kids will want to watch. This is for a thinking person, and I can't imagine anybody not liking this movie. It's a little slow in places.
Yeah, but
dramas are.
But I think I think it's calculated. The slow. There's so many things I want to spoil for you, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. There's just you'll say about halfway through the movie something happens and you're looking at the situation. You're like, oh wow, that's a huge twist, and then they start to explain it, and you're like, okay, it's not a big twist anymore. And then you see some further evidence, and you're like, oh my god, it was real. So you're going to be back and forth. It's sort of a little bit of a roller coaster of emotion when you're watching this. If you have anything invested in sort of the superhero genre, you're going to really enjoy this movie, I think.
Okay, so Perfect Stranger, out of 10, what would you give the Joker?
I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8?
An 8.
I hear you. And I don't do this often. I'm going to give this a 9.
Wow.
I don't give 9s. I'm giving this one a 9.
There you have it.
So, thanks for watching. Come back on Tuesday. I'm hoping that we're going to have the first week's numbers for the box office guesses. And if not, I believe we'll have a classic review. I'm not making any promises because we have to rely on Don a little bit, and he's across the globe. So, hey, thanks for coming and doing a review with me.
Hey, you know what? Okay, here's a twist. It was me the whole time!